Did you know you can see trophy-sized deer just walking right down the middle of Main Street in downtown Durango? There's some really cool things about Durango and some things that you just might not be aware of. It's a scary process of moving to a new city, a new town, just moving in general. So my goal in this video is to make it really easy to just say, hey, yeah, I can move here. I can figure out what I need to do to move here in the time frame I want to move here in. So in this video, we're going to be going over the weather. We're going to start by talking about the low, the average temps in January, the average temps in the summer, and comparing and contrasting that to other mountain towns, other towns within a 3-hour radius of us. We're going to be talking about things to do in the community, like concerts in the park. We're going to be talking about places to hear good music. We're going to be talking about events and things going on in Durango that locals are really looking forward to and excited for every single year and are even planning for. We're going to talk about hikes. I just talked to a friend of ours that has lived here for close to 10 years, and I was introducing her to a new hike that she never even knew about that's really close to downtown Durango. So we're going to talk about that hike, a bunch of others. We're going to talk about a bunch of things to do in the winter that you might not be aware of. We're not just going to talk about, skiing at Purgatory, although that definitely should be on your list as well. We're going to talk about parades. We're going to go over parades, Christmas events, and then we're going to, of course, dive into housing. We're going to talk about different neighborhoods that have some really cool amenities that are practically impossible to find online, as well as some neighborhoods that you might want to stay away from if you have certain criteria. Just kind of make you aware, areas that you might get more snow in, areas that might be closer to traffic, and just make you aware generally of a lot of different areas. And we're jumping into it right now. Now, we moved to Durango over 4 years ago. My wife and I were going on a biking trip through Durango, saw an amazing house, and decided to make an offer, and we don't regret it one bit. So I'm gonna bring you some things that I've learned since then. And I've also got 2 kids, so I can kind of give you the perspective of having kids, what it's like, maybe some cons of having kids in Durango, and some huge, huge pluses. So the first thing on the list, and forgive me, I gotta look down at my notes, make sure I get everything. First thing on the list is just that Durango has kind of more of a laid back, relaxed feel. Now, pros and cons to that. I'm just gonna dive kind of into the cons first, as I think that's maybe more what you guys are here for or what you appreciate. So kind of the cons are gonna be, it's tough to get a handyman, contractor, etc. If you have a lot of work going on with the property, it might be a little tougher than a bigger city. So you've got a lot of people moving here because of the skiing, the rock climbing, the running, the hiking. So when there's good weather, there's good snow, it might be harder to get somebody to do some work for you. So that's something to be cognizant of. Now, with that in mind, I've still had a lot of luck. We just had somebody paint our house, a company paint the back of our house, and it went really well, really smooth. They gave us a good quote. They got it done within a day of giving us the quote. So although it can be trickier, it also, if you have the right list, if you reach out to us, we're happy to get you a good list. It can be pretty easy as well. Guys, while I'm speaking about housing, I want to mention to you guys, I'm a licensed realtor here in Durango, as well as Southwest Colorado, Pagosa, Bayfield, Mancos. Reach out if you're even thinking about moving this way. Love to help you out. Love to help you with all of your real estate needs. Let's jump back into the video. So weather is the next thing I want to talk about. So I'm going to kind of briefly go over the weather. I'm going to first start by saying the weather here is much more mild than the rest of Colorado, practically the entire state. So let's actually dive into some actual numbers. So January average, we've got a high of 38, a low of 11. July, high of 87, low of 53. Annual snowfall about 63 inches. So let's do some comparing and contrasting. Let's just stick with the January averages, and I'm just going to kind of go down the list. So again, January average, high of 38, low of 11 in Durango. Pagosa's 39, low of 8. Bayfield 37, low of 10. Mancos average around 36. Let's jump to some areas away from Durango. Alamosa high of 34, low of -5. Silverton high of 30. Telluride high of 30, low of 4. Steamboat high of 27, low of 4. So we've got several other mountain towns listed in there. Most of these other mountain towns are quite a bit colder in the winters. That's the main thing I want to emphasize. The other thing is they have more of a mud season than us. So because they get a significant amount more snow than us, and I'll just go down the list again. Speaking of snow, Pagosa Springs. So again, Durango, 63.7 inches. Then Pagosa gets 93, Bayfield 81, Mancos 65, Alamosa 30, Silverton 172, 122, Telluride 130, Steamboat 184. So as you can see, those other mountain towns are getting a lot more snow than us here in Durango. And so we're not going to nearly have the mud season in that springtime that they're going to get. Now we are definitely pretty limited when it comes to shopping. We do have some great options. I'll dive into those, but I'm going to kind of start talking about the limitations we have to shopping. So we have a mall. They only have a few stores in the mall. My wife doesn't even really go to the mall very much at all. A lot of what she does, and I do frankly, is going to be shopping on Amazon or just online in general. So you're going to have to kind of wrap your head around shopping online if you're considering moving to Durango. I think as a whole, it's just going to be tough to especially shop for clothes here in Durango. We do have some really good outdoor stores, but honestly, if you're looking at prices, it can be tricky. Some stores can compete really well with online stores, others aren't as much, and I would say it just depends on the item. The other day I was shopping for a knife and I found the same knife online for about $100 less, so it can just vary. I'm just going to glance down at my notes. A few stores at the Durango Mall: JCPenney's, Kohl's, Bath & Body Works. There's a rumor that they are shutting down the mall. I don't know if that is correct or not, so just gonna share that with you as a rumor. Then we've got Maria's Bookshop. We've got Pine Needle Mountaineering. Pine Needle Mountaineering, really great spot for outdoor gear. They've got a 2-story. They're in one of our other small malls. They've got some great items in there. I bought some maps from them just the other day. Got Durango Coffee Company. I highly recommend Durango Coffee Company. I like to work there just to do some work. Really high-speed internet in there. Some great coffee. Some great pastries in there as well. Got a good amount of really good coffee shops overall. And then we've got some great specialty stores. So we've got like Animus Trading Company. We've got Garden Shorts Sporting Goods. I just gave them a call a minute ago to ask them about getting some binoculars as well as a scope for a rifle. They've got a lot of good options there. And then we've got Big Five, some places we don't have. We don't have Target. We don't have Costco, Best Buy. We do have Home Depot. We don't have Lowe's, but Farmington, New Mexico is about 50 minutes away from us, depending on where you're coming from, but approximately 52 minutes away from us. They do have Lowe's, they do have Best Buy, and they do have Sam's Club. They do not have Costco, however. And a few other items that I like to mention is we'll talk a little bit more about the restaurants later. The restaurant scene here, in my opinion, is really awesome. Of course, if you're coming from somewhere like LA or Denver, of course, you're not gonna have the same options, but overall, I think the restaurants are really awesome here. Just had our anniversary the other day and we went to a really good restaurant. They had an awesome burger with lobster on top. My wife got a lobster mac and cheese, I think it was. That was really good as well. So there's some great options. We'll dive into restaurants a little bit more in a minute though. Now let's talk community events. So we've got the Snowdown Festival. That's in the winter. January Festival. They've got things like the Light Parade. They've got a beard growing contest. They've got a bunch of just unique contests and things going on, and it's a full week of different festivities. You'll see a lot of people dressed up in different costumes and outfits, and they've got some theater, some plays that they put on, just a lot of different things involved with Snowdown, showcasing costumes, floats, activities, and then we've got concerts. So we've got some really cool concerts in the park at Buckley Park. I believe that's every Tuesday in the summer, and then you've got Three Springs and Twin Buttes. So these are both subdivisions about 10 to 15 minutes away from downtown Durango. We'll put those up on the screen. Three Springs is east of town, then Twin Buttes is gonna be west of town, and they both are kind of their own little community, if you will. They both got some really nice parks, and they'll have a lot of concerts, get-togethers, events as well. They'll have food trucks out there, and I would say Twin Buttes doesn't have as many families as Three Springs does. So Three Springs will have a lot more kind of family fun events. Not to dive too much into the housing yet, but they back up to a bunch of great trail systems. They've got some new builds coming on the market, so reach out if you're looking for that. I do know of some new builds where I'm gonna be working with the builder that are gonna be coming on the market in the future. And then you've got let's talk about music. So 11th Street Station will have live music. They are right downtown. You've got Animus City Theater. They've got indoor options. Then you've got the Office Spiritorium, which will have jazz, acoustic music as well. And there's a bunch of other restaurants and spots for music. You've also got the college. You've got Fort Lewis College. Went up there with my parents this summer. There was some amazing artists that came in from Ireland and from other countries throughout the world that came here to Fort Lewis to perform, and that was really cool. That was part of the Celtic Festival. So there really is some great music. Parades, there's a 4th of July parade, there's a horse parade that's really cool as well. Our kids got to pet the horses. There's like a little petting zoo area as well. So although we're not a huge town, we've got quite a bit of activities and things going on throughout the entire year, not just in the summer. It doesn't necessarily die down like it does in some other small mountain towns in the winter. To elaborate on that, we're not just centered around skiing, where that can kind of be a negative if the town is just centered around skiing, because you've got these times where it's just completely shut down, where they're kind of getting ready for that next season. Now, Durango has a company called Stillwater that teaches kids music. My kids were actually there this morning for their last lesson of the season. They do weekly lessons where it's like, I want to say 30 minutes long or so. And our kids are almost two and almost 3, and they really love it. But my point of bringing this up is they also do concerts downtown and in Buckley Park, and they have the kids put on concerts. And so it's a really great experience for kids, and just a fun thing to do and to check out when you're downtown at the Christmas festival as well. Something else about downtown Durango, or just in Durango in general, is there's some great etiquette, I feel like, on trails. So I want to mention there's certain ways, ways that you want to follow a trail. A lot of trails are single directional. You can only go a certain way on trails. And I would just say a lot of people are super friendly on trails. If you just say hi to someone, or if you need a bike pump, somebody's always willing to help. And I just want to kind of point that out, just my experience on the trails in general. There's so many people that either mountain bike, trail run, hike, or just love getting outdoors in general. So if that's you, you're somebody that really likes being on the trails, being outdoors, and you're worried about maybe connecting with people. I've had a lot of people ask me that question. I think you're gonna find that it's gonna be really easy to make friends, really easy to find people to connect with, to go biking with, at all levels. Everybody here isn't just a bunch of pro bikers, although there are a lot of pro bikers here, but there's a lot of people that just like cruising, just like taking it easy, going on the Animas River Trail, going on the Three Springs trails, which are a lot easier, a little bit more mellow, or some of those are, I should say. So just know that I think it's gonna be very easy to find people to connect with in general. All right, now I wanna talk about some of my favorite trails. So I'm gonna start in the Animas Valley, and I'm gonna talk to you about Hermosa Creek Trail. This is a 30+ mile long trail. Really, really pretty trail. Not a ton of views. You're kind of tucked in the forest, but kind of a fun, flowy trail. If you're trail running or mountain biking, I think you're gonna enjoy this one. Fairly moderate trail. Then you've got a couple others that climb in elevation by about 3,000 feet. You've got Stevens Creek Trail as well as Halfland Creek Trail. These are both going straight up Missionary Ridge, which is, you can't see it too well, but that ridge right behind me here in the Animas Valley. One of them is close to 4 miles, one of them is close to 7 miles. Then you've got Animas Mountain. That's my wife's favorite. A bunch of different trail systems on Animas Mountain, but it's right in town Durango. You've got a bunch of other biking trail systems in town Durango. My favorite is going to be the Mesa Bike Park, which is kind of on that southeast section of in-town Durango. And then you've got some great trails as you're going east of town. So you've got all the Three Springs trail systems. I really love these, and I really think these are kind of a gem, because these homes, this subdivision there, they're still building out more homes, more areas to build in. And I just love it because it backs up to a bunch of different trail systems, and you can literally bike from Three Springs all the way into downtown Durango. It will take you 2.5 hours depending on how fast you are, but I love that feature of that. Now let's talk about a few other areas you can live that have access to trails. All right, so you've also got the Edgemont subdivisions. So the Edgemont subdivisions are about 11-12 minutes from in-town Durango, going east on Florida Road, and they don't back up directly to trails, but if you go right up the road, you've got Durango Hills. Durango Hills backs up to a bunch of trails on the top of Missionary Ridge. So within a 20-30 minute hike or bike ride, you're on the top of Missionary Ridge looking into the Animas Valley. Absolutely breathtaking views. And there's a bunch of different trail systems right up there that backs up to Durango Hills subdivision. which is just up the road, not far, maybe a 5-10 minute drive from these Edgemont subdivisions, which is a very, very popular subdivisions. And then around the corner from those subdivisions, if you kind of go down, go south of Edgemont, take that first right. We'll put this up on the map. You can access the Horse Gulch trail system kind of from the back side of Horse Gulch. So there's some kind of back end entrances if you're living on that east part of Durango. And then again, if you go back up north, you've got some great access to trails in the Animas Valley. If you go up towards Purgatory Ski Resort, there are some great gated subdivisions that back up to trails, back up to a ton of national forest. Let's actually throw on the screen the thumbnail for the video I recently released, the top 8 most expensive subdivisions. That's going to have a lot of these subdivisions in it that I'm discussing that are up by Purgatory Ski Resort. So if you want to be up that way, first I'll give you a kind of disclaimer. A lot of those subdivisions are within about 30 minutes of downtown Durango, so a little bit further away from town. They get a lot more snow, but absolutely breathtaking neighborhoods, amazing views from almost every home in there. Home prices are a little bit higher in there, but let's stick to trails. The other area of trails that I want to recommend is west of downtown Durango. So 10 minutes to 15 minutes west of downtown Durango, you've got a bunch of trails in the La Plata Canyon, bunch that are really, really pretty. They've got a race back in there that I actually did a couple of years ago. Really fun trail run. And then there's some beautiful homes in there. I actually shot a video. We'll actually put that thumbnail up here right now. I shot a video on the most expensive home in the county that's in that area that's right before you get into La Plata Canyon. That one backs up to 175 acres of national forest. It has the river riding right behind it, 12,000 square foot home. But if you want to check out that video later, check that out. So I think that covers it for trails. There are a ton of different trails as you continue to go east towards Bayfield, towards Pagosa, but I wanted to kind of stick to some trails that are a little bit more unknown, that are a little bit harder to find, and that back up to subdivisions. One more actually is the Twin Buttes trail system. They back up to Twin Buttes, a new subdivision that is coming in about 10 minutes west of downtown Durango. So let's move on and talk about some fishing spots. So I'm going to give you a few places that back up to fishing or have ponds. So Falls Creek Ranch is a subdivision that has their own private lake, some great fishing. You can paddleboard, you can boat, you can swim, you can use that area. Then there are several subdivisions up east of downtown Durango. The Edgemont subdivisions is going to be one of them. They've got about a mile of Florida River running behind that subdivision. Then as you continue up, Florida River Estates, they have the Florida River as well as 2 ponds right in their subdivision. Really breathtaking, really, really pretty area. As you continue up that road, there are a bunch of other little subdivisions and just private homes that aren't in subdivisions that are on the Florida River as well as on the Pine River. While we're talking, let's throw up one more video, one more thumbnail, and guys, make sure to either just stop and write down the name of this video so you can check it out later, or just take a picture of it. But there is a video that we shot all about the top riverfront neighborhoods in Bayfield, Colorado, which is about 30 minutes east of here. Those subdivisions are breathtaking again. There's a lot of homes right on the river or with access to the river out that direction. And then as we go south of town, there are a few neighborhoods south of town that are just right on the Animas River. Now keep in mind, these areas are a little bit more desert feel. You have some mountain views, but more ridge type views. And we've talked about these a lot. We're working on a video, or I'm working on a video, where I'm gonna show you all those subdivisions that are right on the river. So we're not gonna talk too much about those right now. And then I just wanna mention in town Durango. There's a lot of homes that are very close to the river, and just living in town Durango in general, you have that walking or biking access to be fishing in some really great water. A friend of mine just the other day caught some pretty big fish in the Animas River on some tiny little midges. And I recommend reaching out to either Duranglers or San Juan anglers, asking them what kind of flies you should use, or just take one of them out, take their guide service out, and they're gonna really set you up with the right flies, the right depth, and just really dial you in and help you to have a good time on the Animas River. Some other areas up north, Haviland Lake. If you live anywhere in the Animas Valley, you're pretty close to Haviland Lake. That's got some great fishing. Subdivision called The Ranch. They have 26 ponds, about 13 of those are stocked with rainbow trout. And then behind them, they have a 31-acre nature preserve, which is actually where we're at right now. 31-acre nature preserve right here with the Hermosa Creek. You can see right over my shoulder, running right through here. And let's talk about things to do in the winter. So the winter, my mindset moving here was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to deal with that much snow. Like, I love the winter, I love the snow, but it was, I was coming from living in Hawaii and then living in San Diego, living in Albuquerque. So we never got more than 5 inches of snow. And what I love about it out here is there's a lot of great groomed trails to go cross-country skiing. You've got the Nordic Center, and then you've also got Vallecito Lake, some great groomed trails right there. And then you've got some groomed trails around the Hillcrest Golf Course in town Durango as well. And then from there, you've also got some really good areas to snowshoe, like Haviland Lake. They've got some nice trails around Haviland Lake, which is about 20, we'll actually put up on the screen. I was gonna say 20 to 25 minutes from downtown Durango. We'll put the distance up on the screen. I might be a little bit off there. And then a few other areas. County Road 203 is a little bit of an unknown area. You can go and park. There's a great little parking lot, and then you can climb up that road. A little bit of an incline up that road, but a nice, really, really pretty views of the Animas Valley. Again, we're talking snowshoeing here. And then there are a lot of great places to sled. If you've got kids, or even if you don't, there's a lot of great places to sled, from Buckley Park in town to just a lot of areas throughout. Purgatory Ski Resort has their own sledding area that they set up, and it is really awesome. I definitely recommend getting a tube and doing it that way. And then let's talk climbing a little bit. I'll just name a couple areas. X Rock is a really good area for climbing. East Animas climbing area is a great area as well. So overall, we've got some phenomenal things to do, guys. I really want to kind of stick to trying to point out things that you might not be aware of, harder to look up online. So wanted to kind of point out some of those snowshoeing areas. And again, Purgatory Flats, Vallecito, Haviland Lake, Hillcrest for cross-country skiing. All those areas are really, really cool and all very spread out. So if you live closer to, say, Edgemont or closer to Lemon Reservoir, you can go up that direction, versus in town, you can hit up Hillcrest. There's some great options throughout. All right, so I already told you, kind of give you a good feel, good understanding of some of the neighborhoods in Durango. We talked about Twin Buttes being a newer development, backing up to some great hiking and biking trails. They're only about 10 minutes west of downtown Durango. I want to talk a little bit more about in-town Durango. So in-town Durango is sometimes overlooked because they don't have obvious, really cool amenities, whereas some other places like Falls Creek Ranch, where they got the private pond and trails throughout, and they've got ice skating in the winter, those ones might stand out in some of the videos I've done, if you've been following the videos. But a little bit more about in-town Durango. What's so cool about it is it's kind of another world in the sense of it's just another lifestyle. So a lot of people will have e-bikes, they'll have a seat on the back for their kids, or they'll just have a place on the bike for groceries, and they'll rarely even drive their car. They'll take their e-bike in the summer. But in the winter, you've also got the Animas River Trail is kind of the place that the trail that everybody uses to get places. You know, you're almost 9 miles of Animas River Trail, and it kind of connects you to all the grocery stores, to the rec center. It's right off the rec center, really close to the grocery stores. You can get off of it to get downtown. And so what I love about in-town Durango is you can either bike or walk just about everywhere. And there's so many different biking, hiking trails on both sides of the highway that you can get to, that you can access. There's a lot of great wildlife. You wouldn't think you're gonna see an eagle in town Durango. You'd think, oh, they're gonna be out at the lake. No, I've seen several eagles right on the Animas River Trail, looking down at the river pretty often actually. And then you'll also see a lot of deer. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, you'll see deer just walking through. The other day I was at the rec center working out, got done with my workout. There were 3 huge deer right there to greet me right as I walked out the door. So you'll just see so much different wildlife. You'll meet so many cool people that are doing crazy things. Like talked to somebody the other day that, you know, they were taking a trip to Moab, biking trip to Moab. And then, I don't know, a few weeks before that, I talked to somebody that's going on a trip to, I want to say they were going to Alaska or Canada. And it's like everybody here does something, from traveling to kayaking to rafting to rock climbing to mountain biking. And yet, if you don't do a lot of that stuff, there's still a lot of people that you're gonna be friends with and be able to fit in with, and it's not that kind of like elitist mindset, if you will, if that makes sense. So just wanna kind of convey that as well. Let's talk about some favorite local spots to eat. So when my clients come into town, I'm usually recommending, let's go over to 11th Street Station. I had clients in town last week, a couple different clients. We went over to 11th Street Station, grabbed one of their taco bowls, really good food there. They've got some great ice cream bars as well, but a bunch of different little food trucks with some great options. They've got drinks there. They've got some great heaters set up. So if it's right now where it's getting cold, you can go inside as well. One of my wife's favorite spots is El Moro Tavern. Really good cocktails, really good atmosphere and environment in there. And then you've got a few some really good high-end restaurants as well. You've got some great spots for sushi. We've got Backcountry Grill is a place that I recommend up north. You've also got Dalton Ranch Alche's restaurant. They are at Dalton Ranch, which is about 15 minutes from, or 12 minutes from downtown Durango approximately. They've got a really good restaurant that looks out on the golf course and the views there. So if you don't want to just stay in town Durango for restaurants, there's some great options outside of downtown Durango as well. And then let's talk a little bit about traffic, parking, some of those things that aren't the fun things to talk about, but are things that you're gonna really wish you knew when you were here. So there are some spots, just kind of if you get outside of downtown Durango just a little bit, maybe up on 2nd Avenue, there's some spots you can park without paying a meter. If you just get away from, if you get a little bit closer to like the Smiley building, we'll throw that up on the screen, the Smiley building. If you get a little closer to that area, there are spots that you can park without paying a meter, but the meter is pretty affordable. Make sure you guys do not be late to get to your car because they will definitely give you a ticket. I believe it's 25 bucks. I unfortunately know that from experience. Hopefully I won't make that mistake again though. Let's talk about kind of the busy times. So really the busiest season is right in the middle of summer, and that kind of June to August time frame, and really kind of in that middle of the day, 3-4 p.m. when parents are picking up kids and you've got a lot of tourists kind of mixed together, it does get a little busier. But with that in mind, we're not nearly as busy as anywhere like, Albuquerque, Denver, San Diego, Houston, all those areas. We're not nearly as busy as those, but it's just downtown can kind of get congested. The other thing I've noticed, at least this summer, is it seems like they were doing 4 or 5 different construction projects at the same time. So of course, that's gonna slow you down as well. And just kind of being aware of the detours. I always recommend just get on the city website or following the city's Facebook page or Instagram, whatever you prefer. That can help a lot as well. And you can kind of just see what detours are going on and just get an idea of that. But there's usually never anything too crazy. What I also like to mention is near this time, kind of September, October timeframe, they're usually redoing a lot of roads, repaving a lot of roads. So that will create some detours. You'll see a lot of neighborhoods repaving before the winter as well. All right, so I know I packed a lot of facts and a lot of pieces of information into this video, but I want to recap real quick and just say overall, our weather is a lot better than a lot of other mountain towns. If you're just comparing, I've got a full video all about the weather. Let's actually throw that up here now. The video that I did all about the weather. And just to recap as well, housing, homes. Definitely reach out to me again if you guys are thinking about moving here, because there's so many different different neighborhoods that are gonna fit what you're looking for differently. So I've got a client that's looking to be able to put a certain height of fence around the property. And there's a lot of neighborhoods that don't allow that because of the HOA. There's certain guidelines in town. And so things like that, I'm happy to help you guys navigate that. There's so many properties that are just so unique, from either having views, being in the forest, being close to town, being close to skiing, being close to fishing. There's just so many different types of neighborhoods, different amenities they have, and then even different restrictions. So happy to help you guys navigate that. Regarding the skiing and outdoors, we just have so many different options out there that I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised with Durango as a whole. Again, guys, if you're even thinking about moving to Durango, moving this direction, Pagosa, Bayfield, Mancos, Southwest Colorado, would love to help you out. Licensed realtor here in Durango, and looking forward to connecting with you guys. We'll see you later. By the way, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like this video and leave me a comment. Let me know what you learned from this video. I'd love to hear from you guys, and also love to hear what other videos you're looking for. We'll see ya.